Commander Tahoe stood on the bridge of the Confederation scout vessel Distant Star *, his four-fingered hands gripping the control panel as he stared at the view screen. The planet before him, officially designated Sol 3, glowed blue-green against the black of space. According to their scanners, 71% of its surface was covered in water. Liquid water. Not frozen ice fields or occasional small lakes, but vast, deep oceans. "Run the scan again," he ordered, his voice tight. "There must be an error." Science Officer Juwu nodded, her slender frame bending over the instrument panel. The soft glow illuminated her gray skin as she carefully recalibrated the sensors. Like all members of the Confederation, the sight of so much water made her stomach clench with instinctive dread. "The readings are accurate, Commander," she finally said. "But there's something even more unusual." She hesitated, double-checking her findings. "The planet shows clear signs of an advanced civilization." Tahoe blinked his large amber eyes. "That's impossible. No species can develop that level of technology on a hydro-extreme world." Throughout the known galaxy, water planets were classified as uninhabitable death traps. The Galactic Confederation, comprising 23 spacefaring species, had a single shared trait. They all evolved on worlds where water was scarce and precious. Large bodies of water represented mortal danger to every known intelligent species. Even rain was considered a hazard on many Confederation worlds. "The readings are clear," Juwu insisted. "There are artificial structures, energy signatures, and communication broadcasts." And she paused. "The signals appear to originate from both land and water regions." Navigation Officer Juan joined them at the console. "Perhaps they're an amphibious species." "Even amphibious species in the Confederation avoid deep water," Tahoe reminded him. "Remember the Ikari. They have breathing membranes but still refuse to enter water deeper than their knees." Tahoe made his decision. "We need to investigate. This could be the most significant discovery since the founding of the Confederation. Establish orbit and prepare a comprehensive scan. No contact until we understand what we're dealing with." For 3 days, the crew of the Distant Star observed Sol 3, or Earth as its inhabitants called it. With each new piece of data, their bewilderment grew. "They have thousands of vessels that deliberately travel on water," reported Security Officer Minna during their daily briefing. She displayed images of cargo ships, cruise liners, and sailing boats. "They transport goods and even travel for pleasure on the surface of their oceans." "That's nothing," said Communications Officer Young. "They have these competitions where they propel themselves through water using their limbs. They call it swimming. Look." He played video footage of an Olympic swimming event. The bridge crew watched in horrified fascination. Several officers had to look away. "They do this voluntarily," whispered Juwu. "Not just voluntarily. They celebrate it." Young explained. "They have entire entertainment industries built around water activities." Commander Tahoe made his final decision. "We've observed enough. This species appears peaceful and highly adaptable. I'm initiating first contact protocols." The Confederation had established careful procedures for introducing themselves to new spacefaring civilizations. They selected a remote, uninhabited area, a desert in this case, where the delegation would feel comfortable, and sent the standard greeting message to Earth's governments. The humans responded quickly, showing remarkable composure at learning they weren't alone in the universe. A delegation was assembled, led by Captain Yun, a respected military officer chosen to represent Earth's combined nations. Ambassador Dojin, a veteran diplomat who had facilitated the admission of 3 species to the Confederation, led the alien delegation. Despite his experience, nothing had prepared him for meeting beings who lived comfortably on a water world. The first contact site was prepared carefully, a temporary structure in the Mojave Desert, with environmental controls set to the visitors' comfort. When the human delegation arrived, Ambassador Dojin stepped forward with the traditional Confederation greeting, touching his forehead and then extending his hand palm upward. We bring greetings from the Galactic Confederation, a peaceful alliance of spacefaring species, he said through the translation device. We are honored to meet the people of Earth. Captain Hyun smiled and attempted to replicate the gesture. The people of Earth are honored to meet you, Ambassador. We have many questions. As do we, replied Dojin. Your world is unusual in our experience. Most intelligent species evolve on planets with minimal surface water. Hyun looked surprised. Really? Our planet is mostly ocean. In fact, we've only explored about 20% of our deep oceans. There's still so much we don't know about what lives in the deepest parts. Several members of the Confederation delegation visibly shuddered. You? Explore your oceans? Asked Science Officer Ju, unable to hide her discomfort. Of course, replied Hyun. We have submersibles that can reach even the deepest trenches. Would you like to see? She activated a holographic display showing deep-sea exploration vehicles and divers examining underwater volcanic vents. The footage then shifted to beaches filled with people swimming, surfing, and playing in the waves. We swim in our oceans for fun, Hyun explained casually. Some of us even live on boats or floating cities. Water is essential to our culture and economy. Ambassador Dojin swayed slightly, his gray skin taking on a pale blue tint. You willingly submerge yourselves in large bodies of water for entertainment. Since childhood, Hyun nodded. Doesn't everyone? Dojin's translator produced a strange sound as he struggled to find words. Then his eyes rolled back, and he collapsed to the floor with a soft thud. Captain Hyun rushed forward in alarm. Is he all right? Should we call our medics? Commander Toho stepped in quickly. He'll recover. Please understand, Captain Hyun, that for our species, for all Confederation species, deep water represents our most primal fear. What you've shown us is equivalent to humans playing in radioactive fire. Hyun looked from the fallen ambassador to the shocked faces of the delegation. I had no idea, she said softly. We meant no offense. None taken, Tahoe assured her. But I believe we've discovered why humans are unique in the galaxy. Your comfort with water will change everything we thought we knew about habitable worlds. As medical officers revived Ambassador Dojin, Commander Tahoe realized they had discovered not just a new species, but perhaps the most valuable allies the Confederation had ever encountered. These humans, with their strange ability to thrive on a water world, would open doors that had remained firmly shut to all other species since the dawn of interstellar exploration. 3 cycles after Earth joined the Galactic Confederation, the emergency alarm blared throughout the giant space station that served as the Confederation's headquarters. Red lights flashed in the circular council chamber as Admiral Sunwoo entered with a grim expression. The research vessel Luminary has crashed on Kepler 22 bits, he announced to the gathered representatives of 24 spacefaring species. Their distress signal indicates 14 crew members are alive but stranded. Their vessel is taking on water and sinking. The chamber erupted into noise. Kepler 22 bits was notorious even among water planets. Its surface was 95% covered in liquid water, with massive storms that made Earth's hurricanes look gentle by comparison. How long do they have? Asked Representative Jinky from the desert world Eritis. Less than 70 hours before their emergency systems fail, Admiral Sunwoo replied. The Luminary is equipped with standard water barriers, but they were damaged in the crash. Counselor Minji stood, his scaly skin reflecting the emergency lights. It's a death sentence to send a rescue team, he declared. The planet is almost entirely liquid. No sensible being would voluntarily approach such a world. Murmurs of agreement rippled through the chamber. Captain Yunju, Earth's junior representative, had been listening quietly. She rose from her seat, standing out among the aliens with her smooth skin and dark hair. Humans volunteer for this mission, she said firmly. We have extensive experience in marine rescue operations. The chamber fell silent. Even after 3 years, many Confederation species still found humans unsettling. Their comfort with water seemed unnatural. "Captain Yunju," said Admiral Sunwoo carefully, "Kepler 22 bits is not like Earth. Its oceans are deeper, its storms far more violent. The water pressure alone would crush most vessels." "We understand the risks," Yunju replied. "But while you've been talking, my team has already drafted a rescue plan." She activated a holographic display showing specialized submersibles and diving equipment. "These are designed for extreme water environments. We can modify them for Kepler 22 bits' conditions." The council members stared at the display. For them, it was like watching someone plan to jump into a volcano. The crew of the Luminary includes representatives from 7 Confederation worlds. Yunju continued. "Would you leave them to drown because of your fear?" A heavy silence hung in the air. Finally, Admiral Sunwoo nodded. "The humans may attempt what we cannot." Within 12 hours, the rescue vessel Poseidon's Hand launched from the Confederation station. Its crew consisted of 15 humans, led by Lieutenant Jinho, a veteran of Earth's deep-sea rescue operations, along with 3 brave alien engineers who volunteered despite their instinctive dread. The ship's cargo hold contained equipment that baffled the Confederation engineers: submersibles designed to withstand crushing pressure, diving suits with advanced life support, and water navigation systems that had been hastily adapted for Kepler 22 bits' conditions. Taeyong, the ship's pilot, plotted a course that would take them to Kepler 22 bits in 50 hours, leaving barely 15 hours for the rescue operation. "Have you ever seen water conditions like these in simulations?" asked Minji, the team's oceanographer, studying the limited data they had on Kepler 22 bits. "Nothing even close," replied Jinho. "This planet has no significant landmass to break up its oceanic currents. The storms must be constantly feeding energy into the water system." Dury, one of the alien engineers, approached hesitantly. "I've been studying your equipment. These wetsuits, as you call them. You wear them to deliberately enter water." Jinho nodded. "They protect us from cold and provide buoyancy control." "And these breathing devices?" Dury pointed to the oxygen tanks. "They let us breathe underwater for hours." Dury's large eyes blinked rapidly. "Fascinating and terrifying. On my world, children are taught to avoid puddles deeper than their ankles." As the Poseidon's Hand approached Kepler 22 bits, even the experienced human team fell silent. Through the viewports, they could see a world that was a nightmare of water. The entire planet was a dark blue-gray, covered in swirling clouds and massive storm systems. Waves could be seen even from orbit, gigantic mountains of water that rose and fell across the endless ocean. "Those waves must be over 100 meters high," whispered Minji, "twice the size of Earth's largest recorded tsunamis." "The Luminary crashed in this region," said Jinho, highlighting an area on the display. "Their emergency beacon shows they're lodged on an underwater ridge about 50 kilometers from the crash site. The current must have carried them." "Can we even land in these conditions?" asked Heiyun, looking at the storms below. Pilot Taeyong studied the instruments. "Not directly on the surface. We'll need to use the dropships." He pointed to the specialized vessels designed to be deployed from orbit. "They can handle the atmospheric entry and reach the water surface." Lieutenant Jinho gathered the team for a final briefing. "This won't be like any rescue operation on Earth. The pressure, the currents, the waves, everything will be more extreme. We stick to the plan. 2 submersible teams will locate and secure the Luminary. The extraction team will remove the survivors. The engineering team will salvage critical research data if possible." He looked at each team member. "We have 15 hours to get in, find them, and get out before the next megastorm hits this region." Questions. Somi, the medical officer, raised her hand. "What about the alien crew? Will they panic when they see us in the water?" "Probably." Jinho nodded. "We'll need to keep our movements slow and calm. Remember to them, we're doing something completely unnatural." The dropships detached from the asterisk Poseidon's hand asterisk 6 hours later, hurtling through Kepler-22b's turbulent atmosphere. Inside, the human team performed final checks on their equipment, while the 3 alien engineers monitored from a safe distance, their fear visible but controlled by professional discipline. As they broke through the cloud layer, the true scale of Kepler-22b's oceans became apparent. In every direction, to the farthest horizon, there was only water, dark, churning, and terrifying. Waves taller than office buildings rose and fell in slow motion. The sound of the water hitting their ship was like constant thunder. 5 minutes to water contact, announced the pilot. Submersible teams, prepare for deployment. Lieutenant Jinho secured his helmet and gave a thumbs up to his team. Let's show the Confederation what humans can do. Behind them, Engineer Dury watched with a mixture of horror and admiration. You are either the bravest or the most insane species we have ever encountered, he said. Jinho smiled. Maybe a bit of both. That's how we survived on a water world. The dropship's lower bay opened, revealing the churning ocean below. The submersibles, gleaming with their reinforced hulls, hung suspended above the waves. Deploy, ordered Jinho. The cables released, and the submersibles dropped into the alien ocean, the first human vessels to enter the waters of Kepler-22b, carrying the only hope for the 14 crew members who waited, trapped in their sinking ship, surrounded by their greatest nightmare. The low hum of the rescue vessel's engines fought against Kepler-22b's howling winds. Inside the deployment bay, Commander Kyung watched as her team performed final equipment checks. The specialized submersibles gleamed under the harsh lights, their reinforced hulls designed to withstand pressures that would crush normal vessels. Submersible teams, prepare for deployment, Kyung ordered, her voice steady despite the ship's violent rocking. The luminary asterisk is sinking into an oceanic trench. We have less than 6 hours before it slides off the ridge completely. 3 alien observers stood at the back of the bay, their bodies rigid with tension. They had volunteered to witness the rescue attempt, a decision they now seemed to regret as they watched humans willingly prepare to enter the planet's vast ocean. Daho, a tall, thin alien with pale blue skin, leaned toward his colleague. They act as if they're about to take a pleasant journey, not descend into a liquid death trap, he whispered. His companion, Miru, nodded. Her 4 eyes blinked nervously. For us, this would be like watching someone voluntarily enter a volcano. The lead submersible pilot, Junho, secured his control interface and gave a thumbs up to Commander Kyung. Unlike the standard Confederation vessels, these submersibles were small, agile, and specifically designed for deep water exploration. Team Alpha ready for deployment, Junho reported. All systems green. Team Beta standing by, added Woojin, the chief engineer for the second submersible. Commander Kyung nodded. Remember, your primary objective is rescuing the luminary crew. The secondary objective is recovering their research data. You have 5 hours to complete both and return to the surface before the megastorm hits this region. The deployment bay doors opened beneath them, revealing the churning dark waters of Kepler-22b. Even through the reinforced hull of their ship, the humans could hear the roar of waves larger than any on Earth. Deploy, ordered Kyung. The submersibles detached from their docking clamps and dropped into the alien ocean. The impact sent vibrations through their hulls as they were immediately engulfed by water darker than Earth's deepest trenches. Pilot Junho activated the external lights, illuminating a small sphere of murky blue-green around them. Descent beginning. Team Alpha heading to target coordinates. Inside the lead submersible, 4 rescue specialists monitored their equipment. The vessel rocked violently as it pushed through powerful currents unknown on Earth. These currents are stronger than anything in our simulations, noted Summon, the navigation specialist. Adjusting thrusters to compensate. Depth now 300 meters, reported Junho. Visibility extremely poor. Switching to sonar mapping. The submersible's advanced sonar system activated, creating a three-dimensional map of the underwater terrain. The ocean floor of Kepler 22 bits was not flat, but filled with massive ridges, trenches, and underwater mountains that dwarfed Earth's submarine landscapes. Sonar shows the luminary asterisk lodged on an underwater ridge, 700 meters down, Juno announced. They're precariously balanced. One strong current could send them into the trench below. What's the depth of that trench? Asked Woojin from the second submersible. Summon checked her instruments. Sonar can't find the bottom. It's beyond our equipment range. The descent continued in tense silence. At 500 meters, the water pressure outside their vessel was nearly crushing. Their submersibles creaked and groaned, but held firm against the immense force. I'm picking up the luminary's emergency beacon, Juno said. They're directly ahead, approximately 200 meters. The lights of their submersible finally revealed the crashed research vessel. The luminary was a large, oval-shaped craft, now tilted at a dangerous angle on a narrow ridge. Beyond it lay darkness, a vast underwater canyon that seemed to stretch endlessly downward. Look at the hull damage, Woojin observed as they circled the stricken vessel. Something hit them with tremendous force. The luminary's outer shell was punctured in multiple places. Through the largest breach, they could see emergency barriers holding back the water, glowing with the strain of maintaining integrity. Team Alpha will dock at the main airlock, said Juno. Team Beta, secure the vessel to prevent further sliding. As Woojin's team attached stabilizing cables to the luminary's hull, Juno carefully aligned their submersible with the larger vessel's emergency docking port. The magnetic seals engaged with a heavy clunk that reverberated through both ships. Pressurizing dock chamber, Juno reported, preparing to board. The rescue team donned their specialized diving gear, not for immediate use, but as a precaution. If the luminary's barriers failed, they would have seconds to activate their equipment before water flooded the ship. The airlock cycled open, revealing the dim emergency lighting of the research vessel. The team entered cautiously, their helmet lights cutting through the darkness. The ship's interior was cold, with condensation forming on every surface. "Hello," called Junho. "This is the Confederation rescue team. Is anyone here?" A sound of movement came from the ship's central compartment. A door slid open, revealing a group of aliens huddled together. Their eyes widened at the sight of humans in their strange gear. "You came for us?" asked the lead alien, a senior researcher named Yuna. Her voice trembled with both relief and fear. "We thought no one would risk entering this water world." "We're human," explained Junho simply, as if that answered everything. "Where is the rest of your crew?" "In the research bay," Yuna replied. "We sealed ourselves in different compartments when the hull was breached. It gave us more time before the water barriers failed." As the rescue team moved through the vessel, Engineer Woojin noticed something unusual about the ship's cargo. The research bay was filled with artifacts that appeared to be made of coral-like material, shaped into complex geometric patterns. "Captain," Woojin called to Juno. The luminary wasn't just a research vessel. They were studying ruins. There was an aquatic civilization here. Yuna nodded. "That's why we risked coming to this planet. Our scanners detected regular patterns on the ocean floor that couldn't be natural. We found evidence of an intelligent species that lived entirely underwater." "How old are these artifacts?" asked Woojin, examining a coral-like structure that seemed to be some kind of writing. "At least 50,000 years, Yuna replied. "But we'll lose all our findings if the ship sinks into that trench." Junho made a quick decision. "We'll evacuate the crew first, then salvage what research materials we can." As the team began transferring the alien crew to the submersibles, the ship groaned ominously. The ridge under the luminary was shifting. "We need to hurry," urged Summon. "The stabilizing cables won't hold much longer." The rescue team worked rapidly, moving the frightened alien researchers into their vessels. Many of the aliens were nearly paralyzed with fear at the thought of being surrounded by water, even inside the submersibles. Wu Jin and two team members stayed behind to copy the vessel's research data and collect the most valuable artifacts. They had just finished when Soman's voice came through their communicators. "Multiple large objects approaching your position," she warned. "Our sensors can't identify them, but they're moving fast." Wu Jin looked through a viewport and felt his blood turn cold. Massive shadow forms moved through the water around them. The shapes were at least 30 meters long, with long, sinuous bodies that glowed faintly with bioluminescent patterns. "We've got company," he reported. "Kepler 22 bits has evolved predators that dwarfed Earth's largest sharks." As if sensing his observation, one of the creatures turned directly toward the damaged ship, revealing rows of glowing, teeth-like structures along its front section. "Everyone back to the submersibles now," ordered Juno. "Wu Jin, get your team out." Wu Jin and his team grabbed the final containers of research materials and rushed toward the airlock. Behind them, the luminary asterisk lurched as one of the creatures brushed against its hull. They barely made it into the submersible when the first creature rammed the research vessel. The impact broke several of the stabilizing cables, and the luminary asterisk slid several meters closer to the edge of the ridge. "Evasive maneuvers," shouted Juno, as something with rows of bioluminescent teeth approached their submersible. "All vessels, begin ascent immediately." The submersibles detached from the doomed research vessel and powered upward. The predators, attracted by the movement, gave chase. Their massive bodies moved with surprising speed through the dark water. "They're gaining on us," reported Soman, "and more are coming from below." Juno thought quickly, drawing on years of experience in Earth's oceans. Release the emergency flares. The sudden light might disorient them. Bright chemical flares shot from the submersibles, bursting into intense white light that illuminated the water for hundreds of meters. The sudden brilliance had the desired effect. The predators veered away, their sensitive light-detecting organs overwhelmed. Using the distraction, the human vessels accelerated upward, fighting against currents that threatened to drag them back down. The alien passengers watched in terrified awe as the humans calmly navigated what they considered a liquid hell. 5 hours after they had first entered Kepler 22 bits' ocean, the submersibles broke the surface, emerging into the violent storm that now raged across the planet. The rescue ship waited above, its powerful lights guiding them home. All 14 crew members of the luminary asterisk were saved, along with their irreplaceable research data. As the submersibles were lifted from the churning ocean, the aliens found themselves reevaluating everything they thought they knew about water worlds and about humans. The Grand Hall of the Confederation glowed with soft blue light as 5,000 representatives from across the galaxy gathered for the emergency session. The curved walls displayed images of stars and planets, reminding everyone of the vastness they had collectively explored. Yet today, they faced evidence that their exploration had been fundamentally limited by their shared biology. Captain Yunju stood on the central platform, her human form looking small amid the diverse alien delegates. Some towered 3 meters tall with multiple limbs, others floated in special atmosphere chambers, but all shared one trait, an instinctive fear of deep water. The rescue mission to Kepler 22 bits was successful, Yunju announced, her voice echoing through the hall. All 14 crew members of the luminary asterisk were saved, along with their research data. The hall fell completely silent. Not even the soft hum of translation devices could be heard as the implications settled over the assembly. High Counselor Homan, whose scaly skin reflected the blue lights, leaned forward. "You entered the oceans of a hydro-extreme world and returned, without casualties." "Yes, Counselor," Yumju replied. "Our team reached a depth of 700 meters to retrieve the luminary asterisk from an underwater ridge." Murmurs spread through the hall. 700 meters underwater was, to most species present, as unreachable as another galaxy. Furthermore, Yunju continued, activating a holographic display. We discovered evidence that the Luminaries mission had uncovered something extraordinary, ruins of an aquatic civilization that evolved entirely underwater. The hologram showed coral-like structures arranged in complex geometric patterns, buildings, monuments, and what appeared to be writing systems, all created by beings who lived their entire lives submerged. This discovery confirms what humanity has long suspected, Yunju said. Water worlds are not dead zones to be avoided. They're cradles of life and potentially civilization that the Confederation has been unable to explore due to biological limitations. A representative from Dreos, a desert planet, rose to speak. Captain, while impressive, this seems like a specialized niche that humans alone can fill. What relevance does this have to the wider Confederation? Yunju smiled. The artifacts recovered from Kepler-22 bits contain trace elements not found anywhere else in known space. Preliminary analysis suggests applications in energy production, medicine, and materials science that could transform multiple industries. She touched her control panel, and the hologram shifted to show a map of the galaxy with thousands of blue dots highlighting previously ignored water worlds. The Confederation has cataloged 8,743 planets with surface water covering more than 50% of their area. Until now, these worlds were classified as uninhabitable and ignored. That classification was a mistake based on biological bias, not scientific fact. Admiral Sunwoo joined her on the platform. What Captain Yunju is saying, esteemed representatives, is that we've been exploring the galaxy with a blindfold on. Nearly 70% of potentially resource-rich worlds have been ignored simply because most Confederation species evolved to fear water. The hall erupted in discussion. Some delegates appeared offended, others intrigued, many simply shocked. Admiral Sunwoo raised his hands for silence. The success on Kepler-22 bits was not merely a rescue mission, he said firmly. It was proof that with human assistance, the Confederation can access a vast frontier of unexplored worlds. Captain Yunju stepped forward again. We propose establishing a hydro-exploration division within the Confederation Space Agency. Humanity is willing to train any Confederation species interested in developing aquatic capabilities. The proposal was radical. For millennia, the Confederation had operated on the assumption that water planets were death traps to be avoided at all costs. Now, humans were suggesting not only that these worlds were valuable, but that other species could learn to overcome their deepest instinctive fears. After 3 days of heated debate, the Council approved the proposal by a narrow margin. Earth would lead the new division, with training facilities established on both Earth and the Confederation's Central Space Station. 6 months later, Instructor Jae-yun stood at the edge of a specially designed training pool in the Confederation's space station. The water was only 1 meter deep and heated to a comfortable temperature, but to his non-human students, it might as well have been an endless ocean. His first class consisted of 12 volunteers from 8 different species. They stood nervously at the pool's edge, wearing specially designed swimwear adapted for their various body types. Today, we begin with the most fundamental skill, floating, Jae-yun explained kindly. No diving, no swimming, just learning to trust that the water will support your body. Trainee Do-yun, whose species evolved on a desert world with only small precious oases, trembled visibly. His orange, leathery skin had been treated with a special lotion to prevent absorption of too much water, a serious concern for his naturally dehydrated biology. I don't think I can do this, Do-yun whispered, his translator barely picking up the words. Jae-yun approached him with a reassuring smile. Remember, he said gently, humans once feared the water too. Our ancestors developed these skills over thousands of years. You're not expected to overcome your instincts in a day. He extended his hand. We'll go together, just to feel the water on your feet. Nothing more today if you're not ready. Do-yun hesitated, then reached out with a 3-fingered hand. Together, they took 1 step into the shallow pool. The alien's body went rigid as water touched his feet, but he didn't retreat. Good, Jae-yun encouraged. That's excellent progress. Across the training facility, other instructors worked with their own students, some making better progress than others. A few species had small respiratory membranes that gave them slight advantages, while others struggled with density issues that made floating difficult. But they were all there voluntarily, driven by the reports coming in from the first human-led expeditions to water worlds. The discoveries being made were too valuable to ignore, even if it meant facing primal fears. Meanwhile, on 17 previously avoided water planets scattered across the galaxy, human-led expeditions made breakthrough after breakthrough. The research vessel Neptune's Gift had just returned from its third mission to Gliese 667 Keek, a world covered 80% by water. In the Confederation's Central Research Facility, researcher Jihai presented her team's findings to an audience of scientists from 30 species. The compound we've named aquanite appears to form only under the specific pressure conditions found in Gliese 667 Keek's deep ocean trenches, she explained, displaying a glowing blue crystal. When properly processed, it can store 5 times more energy than our current best batteries, with minimal degradation over time. A senior scientist raised a tentacle. How did you locate and retrieve these samples from such depths? We developed new submersibles based on human deep-sea exploration technology, Jai replied. They can operate at depths of up to 3,000 meters, well beyond what we needed for this mission. Another scientist spoke up. Have you encountered any native life forms during these expeditions? Jihai smiled. On every water world we visited so far, mostly simple organisms, but 3 planets show evidence of complex aquatic ecosystems with creatures as diverse as anything found on land worlds. She switched her display to show vast underwater forests of plant-like organisms swaying in alien currents, surrounded by swimming creatures that defied easy description. The Confederation ignored 70% of potentially habitable worlds due to water content, Jai noted, surveying the amazed faces of her colleagues. We've barely scratched the surface of what's out there. After her presentation, Ji met with the head of research, Director Minho, in his office overlooking the station's central hub. Your team's discoveries are impressive, Minho said, examining the aquanite sample. But I'm more interested in reports of resistance among some Confederation members. They say we're moving too quickly. Jihai sighed. Change is difficult, especially when it challenges deeply held fears. Some species may never feel comfortable with water exploration, but they can't deny the benefits anymore. True, Minho nodded. The energy applications of aquanite alone have convinced most skeptics, and the medical compounds from Proxima B's oceans are revolutionizing treatments for 6 different species. He looked out at the bustling activity in the hub below. I never thought I'd see members of the Iridian Collective willingly entering water for training. Humans have changed something fundamental in the Confederation in just 6 months. We didn't change anything, Jai replied thoughtfully. We just showed them what was possible when you face your fears instead of building your civilization around them. In the training pool below, trainee Do-yun had progressed to floating on his back, supported by his human instructor. His face showed a complex mixture of terror and wonder, the same expression that would soon become common throughout the galaxy as the Confederation began its great aquatic exploration. Admiral Mincio adjusted her uniform and gazed through the curved transparent wall of the observation deck. Beyond the thick barrier, the alien ocean of Epsilon Eridani stretched into blue-green darkness. Strange fish-like creatures with bioluminescent patterns swam past, curious about the human structure that had become a permanent feature of their world. 10 years had passed since the daring rescue on Kepler 22 bits. In that decade, humanity had fundamentally changed the Galactic Confederation. What began as a desperate rescue mission had evolved into a revolution that transformed how thousands of species viewed the universe. The observation deck of Oceanus *, the first permanent underwater colony on an alien world, offered the best view of this transformation. Inspired by Earth's research stations and submarine designs, the facility looked like a cluster of large bubbles connected by transparent tubes. It housed 300 researchers from 27 different species, many of whom would have never imagined themselves living underwater a decade ago. "Admiral, the new arrivals are ready for orientation," said Lieutenant Hana, appearing at her side. Mincio nodded. "Bring them in." A group of 15 aliens and 5 humans entered the observation deck. The aliens represented 12 different species, their diverse biology requiring various adaptations to function in the underwater colony. Some wore special breathing apparatus, others had modified skin treatments to handle prolonged exposure to water pressure. All looked around with expressions of wonder. "Welcome to Oceanus *, Admiral Mincio began. 10 years ago, a facility like this would have been unthinkable. The Confederation viewed water worlds as death traps to be avoided. Now we have permanent research colonies on 7 ocean planets, with 5 more under construction." She gestured to the sea life visible through the transparent walls. This planet's oceans contain biological compounds that have already revolutionized medicine for 15 Confederation species. But perhaps our most important discoveries have been the ones we didn't expect. Mincio touched a control panel, and a holographic display activated, showing images of sleek, dolphin-like creatures with 4-lobed brains and manipulator tentacles. "We've discovered 4 sentient aquatic species that the Confederation completely overlooked when surveying these worlds," she told the group. 2 have already joined the Confederation, bringing new perspectives and technologies evolved for liquid environments. A researcher from Treos, a traditionally desert-dwelling species, raised a scaled hand. Is it true these beings had developed a form of mathematics unknown to the Confederation? "Yes," Mincio replied. "The Luminals, as they call themselves, evolved a mathematical system based on fluid dynamics rather than solid objects. Their understanding of turbulence and flow has already improved our spacecraft engine efficiency by 30%. The tour continued through the research facility. In the biology lab, scientists studied samples from the ocean depths. In the engineering section, teams tested new materials designed to withstand water pressures that would crush traditional spacecraft hulls. Everywhere, humans worked alongside aliens who had overcome their instinctive fear of water through training and exposure. Before we arrived, the Confederation had explored less than 30% of potentially habitable worlds. Mincio explained as they passed a geological analysis lab. They simply avoided any planet with significant surface water. Now we know those worlds often contain the rarest resources and most diverse ecosystems. A senior researcher named Jin approached the group, carrying what looked like a glowing blue coral formation. "Admiral, we've confirmed it," he said excitedly. "This structure isn't just similar to the artifacts from Kepler 22 bits, it's identical in composition. The aquatic civilization that vanished 50,000 years ago had colonies across at least 6 star systems." The news caused excited murmurs among the new arrivals. The mystery of the ancient water-dwelling species had become one of the Confederation's most compelling research priorities. "This is why we're here," Mincio told the group. "Every day brings discoveries that reshape our understanding of the galaxy." Across that galaxy, on 36 previously ignored planets, similar discoveries were happening daily. Humans had gained a reputation as the species that conquered the wet. Their natural comfort with water environments made them invaluable explorers, pioneers, and diplomats. On the Confederation's Central Space Station, a very different but equally important scene played out. Swimming instructor Seojin stood waist-deep in a training pool, gently holding the appendages of alien children as they took their first tentative movements in water. Unlike the adult training programs that had begun a decade earlier, this was the first generation of Confederation youth to grow up with swimming lessons as a standard part of education. The children, representing 15 species, splashed with varying degrees of confidence. "That's it. You're doing great," Seojin encouraged a nervous youngster with blue-gray skin and 4 eyes. The child belonged to a species that evolved on a rocky world with minimal surface water. "Remember to keep your breathing steady." A young Dryosian, whose desert-adapted ancestors would have found this activity unthinkable, swam a full length of the pool and returned, his scaled face showing pure joy. "Excellent work, Nani," Seojin called out. "Your grandparents might have feared water, but you're learning to embrace it." As he watched the children splash and play, Seojin reflected on how one species' natural inclination had expanded the horizons of an entire galactic community. The aquatic training programs now operated on 17 Confederation worlds and were considered essential education for young people hoping to join the space service. After class, Seojin met with Education Director Jiho to review the progress of the children's swimming program. "The neurological scans are fascinating," Jiho said, showing data on her tablet. Species that evolved to fear water show reduced amygdala activity after just 6 weeks of training. The younger they start, the more complete the adaptation. "It's not just about swimming," Seojin observed. "It's about proving that even the most deeply rooted fears can be overcome with the right training and support." "The implications go far beyond water worlds," Jill agreed. "We're seeing increased willingness to explore other environments previously considered too dangerous. High-gravity planets, methane atmospheres, even radiation zones with appropriate protection." That evening, a celebration took place on the observation deck of Oceanus *. The colony had just received news that the Confederation Council had approved funding for 5 more underwater research stations across different water worlds. Admiral Mincio raised a glass in toast to the ocean of possibilities that has opened before us. Around her stood humans and aliens who had found common purpose beneath alien waves. Outside the transparent walls, the native aquatic life of Epsilon Eridani continued its eternal dance, no longer separated from the visitors from the stars by a barrier of fear. In the command center of the colony, a communication came through from another research outpost on a distant water world. They had detected regular patterns in deep ocean trenches that suggested another possible civilization, one that might still be thriving in the unexplored depths. The duty officer immediately relayed the information to Admiral Mincio. A new mission was already forming in her mind, another boundary to push, another fear to overcome. Just as humans had once looked up at the stars and wondered what lay beyond, now countless species looked down at the depths of ocean worlds and asked the same question. The answer, they were learning, was more wondrous than any of them had imagined. In her private quarters that night, Admiral Mincio updated her personal log. Day 3652 of the Hydro Exploration Initiative. 10 years ago, I watched as the Confederation Council reluctantly approved our proposal with skepticism and fear. Today, they voted unanimously to expand our mission to 5 new ocean worlds. When humans first joined the Confederation, we were seen as oddities, the strange species comfortable with water. Now, we are valued as the pioneers who showed that fear need not limit exploration. The ancient water civilization we've traced across 6 star systems may yet have descendants in unexplored depths. Tomorrow, we begin planning an expedition to find them. It seems fitting that Earth, once considered an anomaly for its water coverage, has given the galaxy not just a new frontier to explore, but a new perspective. The very thing that terrified other species became humanity's greatest contribution to galactic civilization. We dove in when others wouldn't, and in doing so, we taught an entire galaxy how to swim. The end.